once you have this MySQL, now you see on the left, you have something called schemas here. Okay, you have something called schemas. Click on the word schemas, then you will see some databases on the left. For you, it will be Sakila, Sys, and World. Remaining three are my personal databases which I'm using. Okay. So for you, you will have only one or two. Once you start to work on it and you create databases, you will also have a lot of databases. Now, once you click on schemas, you have databases here. On the right corner, do you see some blue boxes? On the right corner, do you see some blue boxes? Can any one of you see blue boxes on the right? Yes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is to set your view. So to set the view in the sense, the left side, the first one, if you don't want the navigator on the screen, you can remove by clicking it. If you click on it, see navigator is not there. Again, if you click on it, you will get the navigator back. Okay, if you click on this again, the center one, the output window will be gone. Now you see I'll click on this. Output is not there on the bottom. Again, if I click on it, you will get back the output. Now this SQL additions, if I do a right click on the rightmost, you have the SQL additions. This is just to set your view the way you want it. Now where to write the SQL query? For that, you have to select this SQL. Below the file tab, you have a SQL symbol. Click on the SQL symbol, then see here. A window opens where you can write your SQL query. Because I used it multiple times, I'm getting SQL file 3, you will get SQL file 1. Clear? Any questions? Fine. Now coming back here. So once you want to create a database, so you have seen a lot of databases. So generally the structure of this is, first you will have database. If I expand the database, you will have tables. Now you see, I did an expand. You have tables and views. Okay, you have tables and views. Now in this tables and views, whatever you see here, I see someone is on camera. Can you please off your camera? So that is, I'm getting distracted with that. Fine. Chalo. Now here you have databases. In this databases, you have tables. I'm not getting, I'm waiting for name. So you are on camera. How do I stop that? 1 second, guys. Okay, that's great. Fine. Fine. Now going back here, in databases, you have tables. Under tables, you also have views. Okay. Now you see in tables, if I expand this tables, here in the table section, you see you have case statements and multiple tables, which I have done it personally. Okay. Inside the table, you will have the data, the columns and stuff. Okay. So if you want to display a particular table, now you see this Sakila everyone has. So suppose in this expanding the tables, I have a lot of tables. If you want to select a particular table, then you have to write select star from. That means all the data, all rows and columns from customer table, semicolon, and execute. See, it is telling table batch 13 because it is default. I have to write from where I want. That means in Sakila database, I have a table called customer. Okay. In Sakila database, I have a table called customer. I want to execute that. Now you see, you got all the data in this, right? Suppose you don't want all of them. You want only particular columns like first name and last name. Then you can write select first underscore name, comma. You have to write exactly the way the name is. Okay. From Sakila dot customer. Can you guys check if you're able to connect to the databases and if you're able to do this queries, and if you have any of the database on the left, just try with any table you have. I'll just wait for 2 minutes. Please finish that. Okay. Is that fine? I'll just give you time for 2 minutes. Just start, open the database. Once the database is open, just try these to any select statement queries on, because when you're installing, I told you guys to select Sakila, right? So that's why you should have this. Try to execute these two. I'll just wait for 2 minutes. Please finish that. Just post me a message in the chat box telling done, whoever has completed, so that we'll continue to the next one. Just check if you're able to do any query. Swati, it's up to you whenever you do it. Whoever is in the class, you guys can do it. If your laptop is in the service center, that's fine. You
Thank you,
don't have
ma'am.
any other option.
Thank you, but I'm seeing it clearly, but my laptop is not working. It's in the service
That's
center.
fine. I'll just wait for others. Whoever has the laptop, they'll finish it. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
No worries. Guys, remaining, please try this. I'll wait for 2 minutes. Completed? Guys, everyone completed? Fine. Let's go with the next one here. So now we have seen that the database is created, and once the we have seen that we have opened the database and we have tried these queries, right? And now next one we have is, guys, is anyone using this login credentials? Someone is changing the view all the time. Fine. So if you see on the bottom, if the query is successful, you will get a green tick like this. Okay. Now let's go to the first topic. Can you guys tell me what is the difference between database and SQL? Is there any difference between database and SQL? Is there any difference between database and SQL? Guys, if you're so quiet, I'll stop asking questions then. I'll go with my own way of teaching continuously. If you guys don't want to talk, I don't know why I'm asking questions then.
Yes, there is a difference. Is there database?
So what's the difference?
Yeah, database is for storage the data, and SQL is like a language to extract the data, to view the data from the database.
Correct. SQL is a language which is used in the database, and database stores the data, right?
Yeah.
Fine. Now coming back here, in the database, you again have schemas here. Okay, in this schemas, you will have tables. So basically, there is a difference between database and schema. In general, the difference is database is storing these tables and these, right? So database will store the data. Schema will store the information of the database. Okay, I mean, like, schema will store the information of all the data which is stored in the database. Okay, so here in MySQL, you see all together here. But all these if you write database command, it will come. If you write schema command, it will also execute, and we will see the output. So in general, if someone asks you what is the difference between database and schema, database is a storage. Schema stores the information of data present in the database. Understood? Now let's go to the comments in SQL. The first topic I'll start is comments in SQL. So basically, for example, sometimes you will be writing multiple line codes, right? So if you're writing 20 lines query, and if a new person is coming there, like if he doesn't understand what it is, so you need to give some explanation there before the query, telling this query is used for this and that, right? Correct. So that's why we use something called comments. If you want to write that explanation in single line, then you have to write double hyphen space, and you can write like this. This is a single line comment. In the next line, if I start writing, it is taken as SQL code query. See, that's why it gave into it is telling syntax error. Okay, if you write double hyphen space, you can write comment only on single line. And another way is you can also write hashtag like this. This is also taken as single line comment. In the next line, if I start to write, again this is taken as query. But sometimes you will have explanation to write in multiple lines, correct? If you have to write in multiple lines, what to do? Then you use forward slash star. Now you see multiple. I'm doing enter and writing in multiple lines. Is it showing an error? No, right? It is allowing me to write in multiple lines, correct? Now I'll go with star forward slash. With this, now if I write something in the next line, it is taken again as syntax. This is single line comments and multiple line comments. So in comments, we have two types. If you want to write an explanation in a single line, use single line comments. If you want to write an explanation in multiple lines, then you can use multiple line comment. Fine. This is about the comments in SQL. Next one you have is database commands. So I'll give you time to execute. Just listen here carefully first. Okay. Listen very carefully. I'll give you time to execute later. Now, when I write database commands, if I want to create a database, on the left, these are called schemas and database. All the list of databases and schemas are present here, right? So now you see, to create a new database, we will write create database and the name you want to give. Suppose you want to give personal DB as your name for the database. Now you see, I've created database personal DB. Semicolon execute. Importance of semicolon I'll tell you again. For now, just proceed with that. See, if I write create database name, it is executed successfully, green color on the bottom, successfully executed. Now if I refresh on the left, you have an option here to refresh. If you refresh here, now you see, you will see something called personal DB. Okay. So database is successfully created. Now if you want to create schema, see here, you can also write create schema. Now if I write the same name, it will not allow. See, if I write the same name, it is telling me cannot create database personal DB. Database exists already. So that's why I'll do add 1 to it. Now if I execute, see again it is successful. Is it understood? It is again successful. Now on the left, if I want to say it, what should I do? Refresh. Now if I click on refresh, now you see you have personal DB1. So you have personal DB, you have personal DB1. These are the two ways. Another way you can create a database is, can you see symbols on the top? In this symbols, you have SQL folder. Now you see the fourth one, database symbol. Create a new schema in the connected server. If you click on that symbol, look at the process carefully. Don't ask me to repeat again and again and again. Just look at it. I'll go very slow step by step. Please go through it. Okay. Now when I click on the symbol, it is asking me to give the database name. I have personal DB2. One I already used, so I'm taking 2. Now on the right corner, I will click on apply. When I click on apply, see you have create schema. The query is written by itself. Now if I click on apply, see executed successfully and click on finish. Now on the left you see you have database created. And this window which you have opened, you can also close it like this. Understood? So this is how we will create a database. Next, if you want to drop database. Okay, suppose if you're learning how to create a database. If you don't want a particular database, just do a right click, select the name of the database, right click, and you see you have drop schema. Click on drop schema, drop now. That's all. See, it is dropped. Personal DB2 is dropped. Another way is you can also write a command called drop database. Which database I want to drop? Database DB1, semicolon, execute. Now see it is successful. On the left also you don't see it. So what is this semicolon doing? So you see the command for this create database, database name is the command. And for this create schema, schema name. Now if I remove this semicolon and execute this, see it will read as, on the bottom you see it is giving error. It is reading it as create database, database name, create schema together as one query. So if I put a semicolon, it is separated query. So semicolon tells that that is the end of a particular query. Okay, that's the importance of semicolon. So semicolon specifies that that is the end of a particular query. Okay, so this is how you will create databases and you will drop databases. So do you want 2 minutes of time to execute or can I continue? If no one is responding, I'll take my decision and I can do like continue or stop whatever I feel like. Tell me, you all want to execute or continue?
Yeah, please continue. Yeah.
Fine. Now this is how we will create a database and this is how we'll create a schema and drop a database. Now we have show databases. So if you want to see the databases, the list of databases, then you see, you can write show databases. Okay, you can write show databases. When you're writing show databases and semicolon execute, you will get a list of databases. On the left, you have 3 plus 3, 6 plus 1, 7, but it will show you something more. That something more will include other schemas, information schema, performance schema, and MySQL. Why are these not seen here? They are called hidden databases. They have all the information of the databases, whatever we are creating, tables we are creating, and all the information which we are on the data which we are working on will be stored in information schema. And how faster the queries are working, performance perspective, everything is stored in personal schema. MySQL contains some other settings related functions. Okay, so these three are used for the maintenance purpose. So that's why they are hidden databases and they have some data, so they're important. So they're hidden. Okay, when you type show databases, it will show you the list of databases. Now this is about the database commands. Now if I talk about table commands. In table commands, you will be learning how to create a table. Okay, so generally, how do you create a table? So I'll just show you. Let's take a sample Excel. For example, let's take something like this. Let me take this Excel. Fine. Now in this Excel, For example, just imagine that you are into a schooling part and try to understand the syntax how to create a table. Now, for example, we are in a school and we want a list of students in a class. So that is also a table, right? Now here, when I want a list of students in a table, so what does a table have? Does this table contain a name for it? So as I told, students information. So can this contain a student information? See, I'll write student info, right? I have student information. So this is the name of the table. Now table also has rows and columns, so it will have column names. So first column name, I'll take student ID, so identification number. Then I have student name. Then I have something called marks. Okay, I have student ID, student name and marks. Now when I have this, when I'm creating the student ID, student name and marks, in the student ID, can I give ABC? Is this fine if I give ABC for student ID?
No,
Why?
should be number, integer. I mean, number. Means you have to specify the
Should be
whether it is
unique.
text or
Should be unique. Don't you think it is
Characters.
unique if I give
Only
ABC?
characters. Name should be
Hmm.
taken only in characters.
I'm talking about student ID, not the name.
Numbers. Integers.
Yes, it should be in integers or numbers. But why? Why can I not give ABC? Because we have a minimum number. Correct. Right? We have a very minimum number, and number of students might exceed after doing a combinations of ABC as well. Right?
Okay.
So that's the reason I'll go with numeric. Okay, very good. Okay, I'll go with numeric. Can I go with alphanumeric
Yes.
combination?
Yes.
Yes. So, for example, if an employee is from Hyderabad or student is in Hyderabad branch, school is in Hyderabad branch, I'll let AH and ID 258, right? Or 256. Now, suppose the same branch is in Bangalore, AB, okay? Like someone is in Gurugram, AG. Can I mention like this? So we can also understand which branch that student is and what is the ID, right? I can also write alphanumeric in IDs, correct? And I can also write numbers, correct? Now you guys know that you will write numbers and you should not accept only characters. But how will a database know? We have to mention the database, correct? We have to tell the database when you're creating this column or when you're inserting a data in this column, please don't allow a data like this to come in. Correct. You have to tell it. So that is what is called data types. So when you're creating a table, you need a table name. When you're creating a table, you need table name, you need column names, and you also have to mention in each column what type of data will be allowed. So in marks, can I write ABCD again? Can I write ABC in marks? No.
No.
Can I write alphanumeric in marks?
No.
no.
It should definitely be numbers. Something like this. Right? Should only have numbers, right? Now on the student name. Can I write 1, 2, 3 here?
No.
No, I cannot write 1, 2, 3s. I can only write names. For example, Harsha. We have Sean, Eric, Sean, Joseph, Rahman, Adil. Correct?
Hmm.
So this is how you will have a table. But
Yes.
okay, we know that we call it as characters in integer. But database, how will it call it as the type of data? We call it as data types. For example, if I open Chrome and now if I expand it, now you see, I'll ask data types in MySQL. So we are using MySQL. So I'll ask data types in MySQL. So generally, the data types in MySQL are divided into three sections: string data, int data, and datetime data. Okay, we have string data, integer, and datetime. Now, when I talk about string data, integer, and datetime, can you guys read this and tell me the difference between char and varchar? Both are used on a string data, or it's actually varchar will support a large number of data and char as well. Now, you tell me what is the exact differences you see between char and varchar?
Lengthwise.
It can support large data.
There's a fixed length and there's a variable length string. String type data.
Any other differences?
Lengthwise.
Okay, lengthwise. Any other differences?
I don't know.
Fine. So basically, firstly, char is a fixed length string, varchar is a variable length string. What is this fixed length and variable length? Let's discuss that first. For example, it's to better remember, I'll tell you your house rent and your current bill. Okay, even though I explain you in a computer terminology or that might not register, so I'm telling this. But if I talk about char, suppose in a column, if I mention that my char length is 5, or if I mention 10, and you're writing only for 4 digits, it's actually length is 4. So the length is calculated as number of digits or number of characters. Suppose we have DEVI, it's 4. The length of it is 4. Clear? Ali, can you please mute? Now we have 5847, 4 digit. So the length is 4. If I talk about Devi, DEVI, it's 4. If I talk Harsha, the length is 6. Eric, 4. Sean, 4. Joseph, 6. Okay. Now we have 5847, which is 4. Even though I write 5847, it is 4, it will read as 10 only. So that is fixed length string. Now if I write varchar 10 and give a 4-digit number, it will read it as length 4. It's variable. It will change according to your requirement. I mean, according to the data you give. Okay, this is the main difference between fixed and variable. So that means your current bill, sorry, your house rent. If you go for a vacation, suppose your rent of your house is 15,000, for example. Okay. Now, if you go for a vacation, will you not pay the owner for 15,000? Will you pay him or no?
Yes.
Obviously, yes, right? It's a fixed one. Even though you use it, you don't use it, it's fixed. The same way is care. Okay. Now coming to varchar. Suppose your current bill is 4,000 this month. Next month also will you pay 4,000? Or will you pay only what you used?
What we
Only what I
used.
used.
Pay only what we used, right? Exactly. The same is varchar. Only whatever data you have given, only for that it will take the length. But for varchar, if you don't give the length, I mean, if you don't use the length, it will not take it. It will take only what we used. So just to remember this logic, I just gave you this example, okay? And next frequently used data type we have is int. Okay, if you see in int data type, mostly we use int. This is more than enough for all of them because it also accepts negative numbers, positive numbers. So in numbers, we will not have more than that, right? Correct. And maximum width is 255. So obviously 255 digit number, more than that, we don't use it. Fine. And this is the numeric. Remaining, you can just explore. And I have date and time. So if you want to use date and time, you can also go with varchar. Varchar supports date and time as well. During our course, when date and time function comes, I'll show you that anyways. Okay. So date and time functions also supports are also supported by varchar. But if you still want a particular, then you can go with date for only date, date time for this. You also see the formats which it supports. Okay. So this is how you will decide what you want in that particular column. Now going back to the database. Now let's create a table. Let's look at the syntax to create a table. Fine. So when you're creating a table, you have to write create table.
Create.
Okay. So what is the name of the table? Let me give it as student info. So student information. Student info. Now bracket open. That means inside the table, I want student ID first column. And what data type can I give it for student ID?
Yeah.
I'll go
Int.
with fixed length because it should always have a fixed length. But one more thing what we have to understand about this is in char and varchar, the length related differences also we have. Now see, the length for this char is from 0 to 255. It supports 0 to 255. But if you're not mentioning anything, it will take default 1. If you're mentioning something, you can mention from 0 to 255. But if you're not mentioning anything, then the default is 1. Okay. But for varchar, it will take 0 to 6,500 and sorry 65,535. It will not allow if you're not mentioning. Char if you're not mentioning, it will take default 1. But varchar if you're not mentioning, it will not accept. It will give you a syntax error. Is it understood? Fine. Now for student ID, let me go with just char. I'll just go with char. If I give char and does not mention length, what length will it take? Default is 1.
One.
That's why if I'll
One.
not mention, it will take 1. Now the next column I have is student name. For this, I'll use varchar. See, if I'll not give anything, it will not accept. Okay. For varchar, I'll mention around 10. 10 is fine for now. Okay. Now you see, now I'll put a comma. Now I'll go with the next column, marks. In marks, I'll take integer. With this, my column names are completed. So because I opened a bracket here, I'll close. That means inside the table, what you want, you will write inside the brackets. Okay. Now because I opened a bracket, I closed it. Semicolon, execute. Now the table is created. How do I know if the table is created? On the bottom, I got a green tick for this command and the table is created. Okay. Understood?
Yes.
Fine. Now you see, because the table is created, on the left, in which database did you create the table? In which database do we want the table? In which database do we want the table? We want it in our database which we created, that is personal DB, right? Correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
So because we
Yes.
created a database called personal DB, we want that in personal DB. But did we tell the database anywhere that we have to create it there? Now you
No.
see, I'll refresh this. Now if I show you personal DB, see no tables are created. Even though I refresh, no tables are created. Okay, fine. Now you see, because I didn't say it, where did it create? Now this is actually a default schema in my database. So it has created here. Now you see you have student info. Okay, it has created here. But I want it where?
Personal DB.
Personal DB. So you have to write it as create table personal DB dot student info. Okay. So you have to write it as personal DB dot student info. Now if I execute, successfully executed now. Now on the left, I'll refresh. Now you see, in personal DB tables, you have student info. So you have to clearly tell database each and everything. What type of data you want, what is the table name, and in which database you want to create this, everything you have to clearly mention. Understood? Fine. Now, okay, ma'am, we have created a table. How to display the table? You have to display telling select the star from which database the table is in. Personal
Personal DB.
DB dot student
Student
info.
info.
Now, if I execute, table is created. Did I write spelling mistake? Yes. Execute. Now see, the table is empty because I created a table. I did not insert any data in it. Right? I created a table but did not insert any data in it. Correct. Because I didn't create any data in it, obviously it is empty. Now how to insert the data in it? To insert the data in a database, you have a command called insert into. So there are multiple ways to write insert into. Generally, people follow multiple ways to write this insert into. Now you see, if I write insert into, okay, if I write insert into, Yali, what is your question?
Well, in the bash 13 also you have the same database, right? So you can drop that by executing the drop command.
Which database is same?
Batch 13, because you created previously. So it should also have the same database, student info. I mean table, right?
Yeah, it has the same table.
So if you want to drop that,
That's
so
the
you have
reason
to,
I'm mentioning personal DB all the time.
okay. But so if you
That is
want to
why
drop that, so
you
then you
can
have
just
to
drop the
insert.
table, right click,
Okay,
drop table.
I
I'll
see.
come
Okay,
back to that command. I still didn't come back to drop, delete, and truncate. I'm
okay.
still
Then,
just created a table doing inserting data.
all right. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
All of that will be covered. Slowly, I'm just going one by one.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yeah. So we have insert into. When you're doing insert into, I want date insert into which table do you want to insert the data now? In student
Student
info.
info.
Now, do you feel like writing all the time personal DB, personal DB, personal DB? Do you feel it's looking good or do you feel it difficult after always writing the database name? If you feel difficulty in always writing the database name, go near the database, select the database, right click and set as default. If you set it as default, now you see in batch 13, there is a student info table, right? Now I'll do a right click and drop this table. If I drop this table in batch 13, I don't have anything, but in personal DB only I have this table, right? Now I need not write personal DB. Insert into, I can write directly database name now. Sorry, table name now. I want to insert data into the student info, but what are the columns? I have student ID, student name, and marks. Space. What values I want to insert? I want to insert for student ID, I want to insert 1, comma. For student name, I want to insert, for example, Harsha. But always remember, for text data, other than numbers, any data you have to put it in inverted commas. But it's not for the column names. Any values you are mentioning other than numbers, in the values, have to put it in inverted commas. Okay,
Oh,
so you have
okay.
Harsha in inverted commas and you have marks. Let me give 100 for now. Semicolon, execute. So see here, insert into command is successfully executed. Now if I want to display the table, see here, I am selecting select star from personal DB info. If I execute, you have it record inserted. Is this understood? Now there is another way of creating it. So if you're giving data for all the columns, so see here, student info. If you want to give values for all the columns, you need not mention the column names. I'll write 2 and I'll write Devi, comma 98. Now see, this is also correct. If it is giving a blue dot here, that means your syntax is correct. If your syntax is not correct, suppose see, I still didn't mention, I didn't close the bracket, so it is giving a red mark. That means your syntax is yet not completed. Now it's complete. Now ready to execute. Now if I execute, for execution you can do control enter. Put your cursor, Divya, please go on mute. So you can put your cursor anywhere on the line and you can do control enter. If you do control enter, see, insert into is executed. Now if I do select star from to display the data in table, you have to do select star from. If I execute this, you have all the data. You have the first row here and the second row. Fine. Now another way you have. For example, you don't want to give any data in marks. Then if I write student info values, I'll give 3, comma, next John. That's all. Only 2 because I don't want to give marks. Now if I execute, see, it will tell you column count doesn't match the value count. So you have 3 columns and you're giving only 2 values. It will not work. To make it work, you have to write student ID, comma, student name. Now it will work because I'm telling for these 2 columns, give these 2 values. Obviously, if I'm not giving any value, see, it is affected now. If I'll not give any value, it will give null in the marks. Now see, I have 3 John, null in the marks. Is it understood? Now if you want to execute multiple, insert into student info, I'll write values. Now I want to insert 4, comma, Sean, some random marks, comma, another bunch of things will start here. 5, comma, Steve, comma, some marks. You cannot give 345 out of 100. Yes, here. Like this, you can execute. You want to insert another one? Yes, you can. I have 8. Inu, comma, some random marks. Semicolon. So like this, you can insert multiple records at once as well. So it's telling table personal DB student info does not exist. I wrote a mistake here. STUDENT. I wrote a spelling mistake. Execute. Now you see it is successfully executed. Now if I do select star from personal DB, that means I want to select all the data in this database. Now if I execute, sorry, I got extra dot there. Execute. Now you see all 3 are inserted at once. So these are the multiple ways you can insert the data into. So today we have discussed about how to create a data, what are the difference between single line comment, multiple line comment, and we have database commands, how to create a database in 3 different ways. and we have drop database. We have seen show databases, and we have also covered table commands where we went through create table, and then we also know how to display the data in table and multiple ways of inserting a data. Okay, in the next class, we will be talking about, because we have dealt with insert now. Now you will learn drop table, okay, delete, delete command. You will also understand the difference between truncate, and you will also learn alter. Okay, these will be the next commands which you have to understand better. You will have drop table, delete records, truncate, alter, and then if we still have time, we will also continue with constraints in SQL. In alter, we have 4 different commands. We'll do all 4. Okay, this will be the next class. So with this, I'll stop. Someone has doubts, please shoot out your questions. We are left with last 8 minutes. If you have any questions, please shoot out your questions. If not, you can feel free to leave the class. I'll upload this notes in the classroom link.
Ma'am, I actually have a doubt about the schema and the database you mentioned. So you mentioned that
Yes.
schema is the information. So if I
Schema
create a
has the
data,
information.
huh.
Correct.
So if I create a database, say name ABC, I should
Hmm.
have a corresponding ABC schema for it or not. Like you were creating personal DB and
No, it will
personal
not
DB.
have a corresponding schema. We already have something called information schema, which is storing. It has all the information of all the databases, all the tables, all the columns.
Okay. Then
Information
why
schema already
separate?
has it.
Okay, then why did we create separate personal DB one? I mean, what is the importance of that? Like since information's
Personal DB is, see, that's what I'm telling you. It differs in the databases. You can also store the data in MySQL. So this is a very bigger confusion between multiple databases we have. So see here, if this is called a schema, then why is it written as schema here? In MySQL, both of them are same. Even though I wrote create schema, it created a database,
hmm,
right?
hmm.
So in MySQL, we address it as same for both of them. But in general, the definition is schemas. You have seen 3 schemas coming up, right? Information.
Yes, performance.
So for that perspective, they tell it has the information.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, the
It
schema
has
is not a
not that
mandatory, right?
importance to understand the difference for this. So if you're not clear, that's okay, fine. Yeah,
Hi,
Charan.
schema is not a mandatory, right? In that case.
Schema is not mandatory.
Correct.
Okay.
Hmm,
Database is mandatory.
hmm.
Yeah, after
Correct.
creating database, we can insert directly, right? So without schema as
Yeah, you can do it. Schema is not mandatory.
well. Okay. But if in case we created schema both database, so if I delete or drop like schema, so database also will drop, no? It is related to that.
No, it won't drop.
Okay.
Because schema is not created for a particular database. So basically, people call it as schemas has the information because of the schemas you have. The schemas you have seen, right? If when I did show databases, you have information schema,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because of that, they tell schemas has the information. But it doesn't mean that for every database you need to create, because the information schema which is already in this database has all the information of whatever new databases you're creating.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So I have just saved this file. So one second. Let me just cross check if I save this file. Okay, I clicked on it multiple times. Done. So I've saved it. I'll post it in the classroom link, this notes. Okay. So that's about it for today. Someone has doubts? Any other doubts?